All right. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan.
All right.
Yeah.
Gonna call this meeting to order at 7:09. I apologize for being late. All right, clerk will call the roll of everybody who's here. Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
Here. John.
Katie,
John.
Katie,
Here.
And
John? John, can you hear us? Yeah, he's muted. And there's nobody else.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
You said he's here.
Okay, all right.
I'm here too, just as a
All right, I'm actually gonna ask for a motion. I wanna take some of this out of order while we have forum right now before we do Jonathan. But I actually I'm gonna ask for a motion to take the agenda out of order. For old business to vote up the conflict of interest and also the bylaws.
I'll make a motion to take the agenda out of order, so Jonathan may report to vote for, take up bylaws and conflict of interest.
Sorry, is there a second? Seconded by Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you very much. So,
Can I make a point, you might want to vote on the February meeting minutes too, because that approves Katie's.
oh, thank you, yes, so actually, so let me amend that, so.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to take items out of order,
We can take
order to include, also include along with conflict of interest and the bylaws to include minutes from the February meeting.
So amended. That's all. No, we don't even have to, we just amended that one, all right. Thank you, so, all right, we'll start with we'll start with the approval of the February meeting minutes. So I had a chance to read them.
Yep.
Any Katie saw any I should say, any objections to them or?
They look great.
Anybody in the virtual world, any objections to
Nope. I would vote to pass those.
Yeah, no objections.
no objections? Okay. Yeah, we do, so on John's motion, I think John moved it, on John's motion, is there a second to
I'll second.
second by Eden? All right, now it's problem before us, any further discussion about the February meeting minutes? If there are no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, hearing none, the approval of the February meeting minutes has gone. Okay.
Wouldn't Katie abstain if she wasn't here? Doesn't matter.
I mean,
I just looking for,
you could,
yeah,
you could, right?
not sure.
Well, see,
Yeah, I don't think I have a vote on that.
seeing that we need a vote.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my prior board experience, I don't think that would be an extension.
Some people can, yeah, some people do, some
Yeah.
people don't. I've seen it before, that some people have abstained.
I board presidents leave.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next item. The board contract agreement, I don't think we have it, so I think we're just gonna have to table this till the next meeting, right? Conflict of interests. I know that when speaking with Lori, that the conflict of interests, I believe, were as we had written them up in December. Right?
Yeah, that was the latest.
Right, that was the latest version. And to the best of my knowledge and my recollection, right, I don't remember that we amended anything further.
No, I think it was to send it to legal.
On both, right?
Which was,
That was, right? And then-
yeah, and there was no conflict, there's no conflict on the conflict. And so, the recommendation from legal was to go ahead as is. And then have a deeper conversation about what was brought up, about adding to it.
Okay. All right. So I'll entertain any motions right now about the conflicts of interests.
So just so we're clear, it did go to legal and they looked
Yes.
it over?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So my question is at what point are we gonna have that deeper conversation about it, or when would it be appropriate to have that conversation?
So the recommendation from legal was to approve the conflict as is, the statement as is. And then the conversation could continue about whether or not we want potential government what was the potential elected officials on the board, and if that's a conflict of interest for that. But the legal recommended that not be put in the overall board conflict.
And have we taken up that recommendation? Formally or?
No, this
This is it?
yeah, this is it right here. Yeah.
So the recommendation was to take the document as is.
Did they provide the rationale or?
For a little bit of clarity, Anne had the opportunity to have a conversation with Katie at Rob's office.
Yeah.
Felt really comfortable with that conversation and the recommendation, to take the conflict of interest as is. Because it's more about monetary compensation,
Yeah.
you know, and than it is. The political conflict. And Katie recommended that we not have that as verbiage in our conflict of interest. As a nonprofit.
I'm trying to make a motion to take it up as is. I mean, I would like a further discussion down the road. I think I've stated here, like, even if it's like not in this contract, but something that says like, hey, you'll give the board a heads up if you decide to run, so we know, but if it's not in this one, that's fine, I will accept it, just so we have something on file, because I think it's important to have some conflict of interest statement and, you know, something we're abiding by, that's not maybe 100% there, but
Let me be clear, it's very much 100%
there
there.
starting, but to
Right.
include the political running and maybe that kind of side of things, or at least a deeper discussion.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
If there are no other, actually, on Eve's motion, excuse me, I'm sorry, you made a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Adam. Any further discussion from anybody? Seeing that there is no further discussion, I wonder if a roll call on this one is appropriate.
We do it as a slate.
Yeah. Well, that would be the voice vote, right? I think a roll call, let's do a roll call.
But I'm saying you could do it as a slate. You could do the conflict and.
Oh, I'm sorry, the bylaws, yeah, I'm sorry. So,
Oh, do you want me to wait, do you wanna put bylaws on the table and then?
so, yeah, so,
That's
yes.
that it's one motion, is that what we're?
Yeah, so do you want to amend your motion to include bylaws?
Sure, okay, I'll make a motion to accept the current conflict of interest and statement and agreements with, in addition, the bylaws in as well.
Is there, alright, so now that we have the bylaws, properly before us, is there any other discussion about the bylaws as well too? And I think those bylaws are, as we had last edit, I believe it was also.
Draft number 4.
Right, that was,
Right.
well, that was that December, right?
So, and the board has had them before them actually since December. So if there are any additional changes you want, now is the time to do it.
I don't think there's any changes on my end. I would just agree with Eden to have a further discussion about the conflict of interest at some point within our meetings and just have that note, I guess. I don't know how we do that.
I mean, and if we were, I mean, obviously to continue, we always reserve the right to look back at the conflict of interest statement and also the bylaws too, right? Whatever doesn't seem to be working or whatever seems to be kind of like, okay, I mean, we also, as a board, always reserve the right to go and amend them further as is, right? Whether it be, I don't know. I've seen some boards do it every year, I've seen them do it every few months. So it's just what you guys wanna do. But again, obviously, we can continue to have a further discussion down the road. I mean, these aren't You're not locked into these eternally for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and again, just so you know, a reminder of clarity for these are basic governance documents for nonprofit boards, right? So we gotta get something going
Right.
on the table, and they've been run through our legal office a few different times. And they're like, particularly with the bylaws, Emmanuel and I did a lot of work on those, running through them repeatedly to present to the board. So that fourth draft has been run through quite a bit for it.
If there are no further discussions, I think we can do both at the same time as a slate, but I would like to do. I feel like a roll call on this one, we'll actually do it so that we can officially see who actually is throwing this up and down and who was not here. In case anybody tries to say that, so clerk will call the roll on both the conflict of interest and bylaws. Vote. Okay.
John,
Yes.
Katie,
Katie?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes,
Katie's yes, you know, I will last.
yes.
Yes.
Amanda?
Yeah, okay. You can vote, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm a yes too. All right, so that passes. Both of them pass. Thank you all. John, you can jump off now if you're about to get a strip search.
Well,
from
just
the TSA.
Real quick, Jonathan, just so you know that the conflict of interest has been approved, we'll work on getting it on our website right away for the INN membership, so.
Thank you, John,
Thank you, John.
for being here.
Oh,
Alright.
with that being said, I think we can go right, we can jump back into the regular, we can go back to the regular agenda as it is. So I'm gonna go back up to, and just for the record, I did that because, like I said, at this time we had a quorum. Wanted to make sure that that reflected that, and so thank you guys for allowing me to take the agenda out of there, to get these outstanding items voted on. All right, with that being said, I'm gonna jump back to item number 2, which is public comment, which is, I guess, for me, more should have said president's comment, but that's all right, I'll say public comment. But I would like to welcome our newest member to the board, Katie Bowridge, who was voted unanimously during our last meeting, and so I wanna say welcome, Katie.
Welcome, Katie.
hello, thank you.
I know Katie's nice enough to join us, we're
Yeah,
all-
I'm sorry, I'm in Florida for spring training.
Huh?
I said, I'm sorry, I'm in Florida, that's why I can't be there
Yeah,
in
she didn't
person.
invite any of us, if we want to use our JetBlue card, points to
Do
attend.
pass one.
I do too, so.
Maybe next time, Katie.
Yeah, I think all of our invites got lost in the mail, so. Katie, do you have any words coming on to a new board member position?
No, I just look forward to working with everyone and seeing what kind of new programs everyone can come up with and moving things forward.
Welcome aboard. All right. So now we're gonna jump down to, we already approved the approval of the February minutes. We'll jump over to the E.D report, and this is where I'll turn this over to Tina.
Yeah, so I sent a much more condensed version of my report this month, because 8 pages last month, I felt was more than enough for catch y'all up. Speaking of my ED reports, we are going to start making them public in our document center page. I think it's really important for the community to see what I'm telling all of you on a regular basis. So that'll start from the new year on. And so, speaking of the document center, OSA has created a page on our website that now will include all of the board minutes, the governance documents, our financial statements on an annual basis, our op stuff, like, so any, you know, we wanna be as transparent as possible. So she just finished that today, so we're gonna work on kind of outlining that. And then the conflict of interest statement will also be placed on the board page. Then, what am I thinking? A couple things I missed on my report. So. I sent out an email to you and Lori today with the dates of the meetings for the rest of the year. And noticed that I wanted to chat a little bit about the annual meeting because that it could potentially fall on September 18th. And if we're good on that, then I think we just lock that date in so we can plan for it.
Next time, did you check the Jewish holidays?
The September one,
Yeah. You let me just check that and probably find the date.
I should know off the top of my head.
definitely don't wanna impede on anybody's
Yeah.
holidays, so.
No, I did just check that date.
What's it, according to my calendar, Rosh Hashanah is on September 23rd, and then Yom Kippur is on October 2nd this year.
It just fluctuates every
So my recommendation is that we lock that date in, and we say that's when our annual meeting, because it takes a lot of planning and promoting to get that done. So if we know the date now, that's better than ever, right? So I wanted to bring that up in the board meeting tonight,
So Thursday, September 18th.
yeah. So if I get the thumbs up by the board, then I'll plan to, that'll be the date.
That's,
I
do we need to make a motion for that, or we can just agree?
think we can just agree, I don't think we're not.
I don't think you have to like vote on the date of the meeting, it needs to be within the third or fourth week of September, so it falls perfect.
Right.
I think we're fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that then. And then we'll have to define who is up for member seats this year, so we can promote. Now, we did move to a 10, well, technically, we're 11-seat board. But the mayor reserves the right to place a board member via the new agreement. We do need to keep one seat open, they have 12 months from the signing of the agreement. So I'm sure we'll be talking with them in the next month or so to figure out if they wanna put somebody on at the annual meeting. And that kind of thing, but your seat, your member seat,
Yeah, I think I'm up.
yeah.
So
So,
that's my last one too, I think I threw them out actually.
there you go.
I thought I did, I thought.
No, you were a lifer.
Then you switched to.
Yeah, appointed, no, I'm a member still, no, I'm still.
Now I'm putting you on an appointed seat then, for
Yeah.
6 years.
I'm still, yeah, I'm still a member seat, no, I'm a.
Yeah, he's
member.
a member seat, he ran the last time.
Yeah. So I don't.
Well, you ran for member seat just the year I got there,
Yes,
so that was like 3 years ago.
and I finished out somebody else's seat.
So technically, this would be your second term,
Oh, second.
because finishing out somebody's
That's true.
term is not considered a term.
I was thinking that, I can't, yeah, that's right.
Alright, listen.
So I think that was, so I have one more term. That term may be coming pretty quickly to an end too.
Alright, so great, and then I wanted to also mention that the ACM, that national conference that we went to last year in California, is actually being held in Boston this year. And wonderful, so I am on the planning committee for the conference, and early bird ticket sales are good through May 1st, and I would really love to bring 2 board members to this, so the dates are June 24th through the 26th. It's a 3-day conference with some amazing workshops, and we are focusing heavily on board development. So it's an opportunity for you to take part in this incredible national organization that I've been a part of for decades.
Sorry, what's the national?
It's Alliance for Community Media,
Okay.
and they go by ACM.
Got it.
I can send the board the link and the information for the conference. If schedules won't allow you to attend the entire conference, there is this really awesome event they're doing on the night of the 24th. They're doing a harbor cruise.
Oh.
So it's a great opportunity to meet people in the industry from all over the country. That would be on your own cost to do, but it's an awesome event, so. And
So I have the 24th as like a Tuesday through Thursday,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 2 board members going to go? You will go?
They can, but just can't pay for the registration. So. Full conference registration is $395. And then you could do a single day if there's something more interesting or that kind of thing, so. But I highly recommend that you consider it, it's an amazing event, I've been going for years and. I've learned so much and meet so many incredible people. So. Yeah, so I will send out an email to the board and then with all the information, and I just need to know by, so like the deadline is May 1st, I need to know who's gonna go. By like mid-April. And we can't like share tickets unfortunately, it'd be nice, right? Like one person does
I
one
was gonna say,
day.
if I have one, I just go right there now.
And then the last thing I did not have on my ED report before I open it up for questions is, as our media mixer is next week. I am looking for a couple volunteers, sometime between tomorrow and Monday morning. To assist, carrying some boxes from our studio to our base. So if anyone has an opportunity and can physically do that. Unfortunately, I physically cannot do it right now. And it's,
Possibly running tomorrow, I'm out of town.
are you out of town this weekend? It's about 6 boxes that, we can probably figure it out. My wife has generously volunteered to come in and help too, so.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I could volunteer my kid.
Okay, are we looking maybe tomorrow or Saturday or,
Does it need to be done at a specific time or?
Saturday anytime afternoon? Tomorrow works anytime.
Community contact, obviously, I don't know.
Yeah.
Schedule, but. It's 6 boxes.
The problem is they're full of paperwork, so they're not light.
I
Yeah,
can come like tomorrow, late morning.
He's 16.
alright.
Yeah.
Like 11,
Yeah, I have a dentist appointment at 10 right next door, and then can pop right over.
okay, so
Yeah.
I just wanna be ready at Uma by the time you're there.
Yeah, I'll probably be there at 11.
11 AM,
11, yeah.
alright. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
My 16
And then if you can't, if there's,
Yeah.
something, I'll be back on Monday, so.
Alright,
Yeah, I'll be texting you.
Well, I'm delivering a dryer tomorrow morning.
Ah, just swing by.
I'll be in Brooklyn.
Awesome, so with that, I would open it up to any questions on my ED report that anyone had.
Yeah, I guess, my question, right, but the discrepancy, right, I know in your finance report, that area, I mean, that's not gonna. I don't know how we even word that, but I did see that you had said that the last month, you had said that it was one number, but it was only off by.
Couple $100. And it was just because it was mislabeled in our QuickBooks system, it was,
All set now, obviously.
yeah, it's corrected. Just again, being transparent.
And you don't have to make any, I know when I've done on my campaigns financing, if I ever did that, I'd have to disclose it, I didn't think so, but.
It's fine, we're not governed like that,
Like that.
no. As long as the auditor is fine with it, I'm
Yeah.
sure we're gonna be fine.
Thank God.
Hey, Tina,
Yes,
is that 411,000 figure from the cable providers, is that the total for fiscal year?
fiscal year to date, yes.
Wait, fiscal year to date?
Today, yep.
So will there be more coming for this fiscal year into that pot?
We'll get another round of funding in late May. Which will be the, what is it, January through March cable fees. And then technically we'll get another round in August, which would be attributed to this year. But we don't get it until August.
Okay. Just curious where we're landing there. Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Did have a little bit more update on a few things since my report was written. I did talk to Brookline Bank, unfortunately, at this time, they are not able to offer us. Really anything in ways of fund diversification. They would be willing to do a small line of credit. With us, but we would have to use the facility as collateral. Which doesn't seem smart to me, so. I thank them for the time, they spent a considerable amount of time trying to find an option for us. Really appreciate us long-time customers. And, hope they can help in the future, but at this time, they weren't able to offer anything. So with that said, I'm looking at other options, I'm actually got an email out to a gentleman at Mass Development who is well versed in all types of different grants and bonds and all kinds of stuff, so we're gonna chat with him about what potential options we might have. And then James and I met on Wednesday and did a deep dive into the youth workshops we're looking to offer this summer. We've got a few more details we need to wrap up, but we have created a save the date that hasn't been launched on Eventbrite yet. For the 4 weeks of youth workshops this summer. The concept is to provide an opportunity for the youth to have hands-on creativity in a multitude of different mediums. So we sketched out a program for the 10 to 13-year-olds to actually create sort of like a script. And then they go out into the community and do a scavenger hunt with a video and find all of these things they gotta do from their script. And then they bring it back to Uma and they actually are going to be doing like a claymation recording with that video as their background. And then they get to, on the 4th day, they get to like edit it together. So it'll be multiple groups, we've maxed it out at 9 participants. And at the end of it, they'll have like a project, right? And there's a lot of more working elements to it, but that's sort of the concept. And then we're gonna flip the script on it for the 14 to 17-year-olds and move it into more of like a film style aspect. But I really love, James is incredibly creative when it comes to finding different ways to engage. And so he was talking about the first day we do for the script writing, we do like a Mad Lib style fill in the blank. And really get the kids engaged, so that we're pretty excited about that. So we're getting there, but it's really a concept of how do we do this in the most effective way that we're really, really engaging? How is it different than just being a member at Vermont? And how do we operate within our bandwidth, right? So we're hoping to have all of that stuff locked down by either next week or the week after, because the next server will stretch. So we'll have everything probably by the 2nd week of April, we'll have open registration. Well, which is a lot later than we would have liked to, but again, this is our beta test, so.
I really like the balance idea, I know. I'm at that's the company I used to work for, they would have take your child to work day and they could make commercials and stuff like that, so they did the Mad Libs thing and had the different captions show up like they were TV news broadcasters or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they could have whatever silly things they entered, and then they would read it off, right? And it was adorable, so, and they did that for like an afternoon or something like that, and so that's a great idea.
Yeah, so we really, I mean, we deep dive, we did about a 3-hour work session on this and just kind of said, okay, how do we really make this engaging and fun, and like. We also want the parents to really feel like they've got a value out of this, the kids to have an amazing experience, and then to tell other people about it, right? So we can do it again. So we talked about we're gonna do 2 sessions a day. So like the first session is, sit and concentrate, do this fun thing, and then we're gonna do something different. But it all flows, all 8 sessions flow into one project. So we aren't sitting there editing out 72 different little mini films, right? And then we also we felt like the best option for a parents' night was to do it like all as one, as like almost like a film festival. Where we showcase everyone's films. That way we just have to save the date and they can come and see it. So.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I know also, I don't know if you'll do this because they did all the editing at work, but they then sent us the link, so if parents couldn't make it.
Yeah, of course.
Later, and that way they can share with family.
Of course, well, one thing I was kind of insistent about in James and my conversation is I want the kids to actually get their hands in and edit it too. So at least get it started, right? So we're gonna be teaching them DaVinci rather than Final Cut, because Final Cut is expensive, DaVinci's free, you can get it at home. So we're gonna teach them how to do it in DaVinci. And get them started, and then we'll finish it out, kind of thing, if they can't finish the last day, because everything takes time.
You spelled DaVinci.
DaVinci.
I don't know why it's DI dimension.
Don't ask me to spell, girl, that's what spell check's for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible at spelling. Yeah, yeah, so.
That sounds awesome. Is there any news on the, or sorry, I'm like saying something else?
Oh, sorry, I had a quick question. It's hard to hear. Can you guys hear me?
The speakers on my laptop are great. What was that, Katie?
No, I just had a quick question because I heard you say it was going to be, registration was going to be done through Eventbrite.
Yes.
So have you talked to the rec at all to see if you can utilize their rec program so that we're not paying fees? Or is it a free like, I'm assuming there's a cost to this program?
Yeah, there is a cost per student.
So I didn't know if there was any collaboration, if, the rec posted it on their website so that they can get it out to all the kids in the city.
Yeah, so
So there's more
I've
people
been
aware.
talking to Laura at Parks and Rec, and she's aware, I just haven't solidified anything with it. But thank you for that suggestion, I will make sure to follow up on that. Because you had mentioned that too, right? Yeah. I just saw Laura last weekend.
Have
Yeah,
you
just
got,
where sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, just figuring that, that has a bigger reach than just the social media, if they're sending it out to everybody that they have on their website because there's so many kids involved.
Yeah.
Do you think they would be deterred by cost though? Because we were looking at like $300, which is more than rec usually charges for things like that, maybe? I mean, as long as I've been here, it's like 100, I mean, what do we charge for the half-day summer camp? Andy, did you hear me or no? Okay.
About summer camp?
Yeah, like how much did, I'm just worried about the cost, like if rec would be deterred by the cost. Because it is
Well,
normal, the things that the rec normally comes out with costs, that's all. Because we're looking at charging $300 per session.
right, but you're only going to attract the people that are interested in the program. It still gives you a bigger reach than just putting it on social media.
That would give us pushback because it was more expensive than what they normally offer, but that's all.
Yeah. I'll talk, I have a pretty good working relationship with Laura, I'll talk to her and see what's going on and Joe, pull Joe in the conversation too. Yeah, I mean, she has said that they have been constantly talked to about providing more arts and
Yeah.
culture programming, so she's looking forward to us having these. I wanted to thank Katie for reminding me that I have to solidify that conversation, right? Which is part of the process of setting this up.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, if people that are interested are gonna pay the fee that you're charging for it, regardless. It's just you may reach people that you wouldn't have reached otherwise.
That's a good point. And it may not go through the rec system, but at least we can get them to promote it for us and tell their users.
Put a link on there.
Yeah.
Like they did for a different event, I forget, it was recent, but I went through Somerville's rec department.
Yeah,
And then they just gave you the link to go to Somerville's rec department, so.
I think.
Yeah, the only question I was gonna say is I don't know if you've gotten any closer to researching costs. Potential costs for it.
Is that what you asked, Jonathan?
I'm sorry, what, researching costs, is that what you said?
Yeah, how much it would cost for this program, for kids to do it, how much would it be?
$300 per student.
Okay,
Yes, well, I think we decided that last.
Or I think you might be asking if, how much it's gonna cost you to run the program versus how much you're charging for the program.
Hey, let's find out, shall we?
That's
That's why you beta test it, right?
That's why it's beta tested.
So right now, I am, as part of the work session, I am setting up deliverable tracking. So that, again, that ROI thing, the return on investment, right? So if we're capping each work session or workshop as 9 students at $300, that's pretty good, right? And staff time, it's all gonna be a matter of how much staff time was needed. If you're counting my time, then it starts to get kind of spendy, but this is another reason that when I spoke to James, I said, I wanna create a template that we can just duplicate this. And we can spin it a little, we can change it, we can do this, but it really becomes a standing thing that our organization is known for, right? And as we get more funding, we might be able to expand them. We do know that we wanna do after-school programming, we know we wanna do programming during the school breaks. This is the beta test to get all that stuff in place. So, it's a great question, I just don't have. I won't know until after we run, right?
I just want to express that I could volunteer for that as well to help James with stuff if
That'd
needed.
be amazing. We'd love to have your spiel there, so. Yeah, especially maybe for the older age group would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk more in depth about it, but I just wanted to send that out there.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that one part of it too, well, they'll be with the podcast doing either sound effects or voice lines for their movie too, so they get animation, podcasting, portable equipment, studio production, editing, all of that in 4 days, they get a little taste of that, so. Script writing. Yeah.
Can I change the subject? Sorry.
Yes.
I know that, I think it's fantastic, but there was also something in your ED report about like the. Kind of, what is it, like of the management company that runs the building? Sorry, is that not as fun or is there?
Oh, no, it's not, it's fun.
It's not as fun.
But I actually have an update since I saw you this afternoon,
Alright.
so, I have been speaking with our current property manager, Juan, who's amazing, he's with APM Property Management, and he's been really helpful for this transition. He actually set me up with somebody else that's local, born here in Malden actually, but lives in Chelsea now. And I spoke with him this morning, his name is John, he's coming by tomorrow at 1 PM to see Uma and understand. Seems really great, and he's just gonna find out what our needs are, and we'll go from there, but. Small company, exactly what I was looking for, somebody that's gonna be attentive, but. Our association at this point, if we can get past this little hump, is really not that hard to manage, so we all take care of our own stuff, we just need somebody to manage the money, right? Cause I don't wanna manage the association's money. It's just, I will hire an accountant to do it, I ain't doing it. So, because it just gets sticky that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, no, thank
You
you,
get accused of anything.
yeah, no, thank you,
It's not.
Yeah. not.
Sorry, everybody. I'm gonna have to jump.
Alright, John, have a safe flight.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's like. Yeah,
Thanks.
so,
Can I
Yes.
tell his last name or company that it was?
That's the one name.
Yeah.
I
he's curious what you wanna steal from me, don't you? Just kidding.
have no desire
I'm
to
just
have
kidding.
anything related to property management.
Hold on, I'm trying to find he just texted me the other day.
I'm asking you because I used to.
John Monticello?
Hmm?
John Mongiello,
Actually, that legitimately does sound familiar to me, but.
Okay. Aguilar with Aguilar Associates?
Yeah, that all sounds familiar. Chelsea's very small. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, good. That's great news.
so he might be around tomorrow when you're back.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that it's been good for.
You and me both, trust me,
Yeah.
because I have no interest in maintaining the entire condo association. I don't even wanna be on the board of trustees anymore, but if I'm not there, nobody's gonna do anything, so.
I don't have anything else.
No, I said kudos to you guys for getting the state of the city address
Hey.
and also getting Ed Markey's town hall film.
Yeah.
Or the.
Did do that. Oh, one last point, I did provide an update on the legislation that's going through, we got an email earlier this week that. They want us to hold off on writing any letters right now.
Can you, can you give, just for Katie, because she wasn't here last meeting, just a brief. What that bill is,
Yeah.
please, in like a very short and condensed.
Well, you got my ED report, right, Katie?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true, that's true.
Yeah, so all the links are on the, in that, but yeah, I'll be happy to, there are two separate bills, one in the House, one in the Senate. on the state level that would basically require the streaming companies to provide the same amount of funding that the cable companies do to pay access, which is 5%. And that's 5% of their operations in the entire state. That money would actually go to the state, and then the state would disperse that via population. So, but the win on these bills is that it replaces all the money we lost from cable revenue. Because if you cut the cord, we're not getting paid anymore, right? But if you add in all those people that are taking a streaming, we're talking Netflix, Disney, we're talking all of them.
Right.
That is a considerable, that beefs up our operating funds again. So we're very conscious of how that bill is doing. Very appreciative of Senator Lewis as the author of one of them, and just really appreciate the work that our legislator does for community media, so. And want to be supportive of that.
And so they've asked us to hold off on any lobbying or any.
Yeah,
I sent one email, but maybe that was, I wrote last meeting.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Mass Access is really great about how to coordinate this, so, they were having conversations about how a physical letter is actually way more impactful now than an email is, although an email is not, not impactful. But so they're creating an entire strategy, and what I wanted to point out was that PDF link that I sent is they have an entire timeline of how this should play out. And that's really helpful, so we'll do a call to action at some point. But I would look to the board to help spread that message with our municipality, with, our surrounding communities, like how do we band together? Do we do a call the legislator day, like who's not co-sponsoring that we know should be that.
Would Alliance for Community Media, would they have any impact, because they're, obviously.
They would, yeah, and that, I have close connections with them, so we could definitely bring that. I actually have suggested inviting Senator Lewis to the conference to speak, Senator Markey has also been, and he's on the federal level doing the Protecting Community Media Act and all of that, so, yeah. Yeah. What else? What else do you got?
Something that's off topic, but I don't know, this could be said more than that, but I guess going back to previous discussions of using the more facilities, but I just wanted to give a little shout out to Osa and Ian the other day for when we were doing an official shout out, when they didn't watch this, of how.
They do watch them.
Do they? Oh, good. They're utmost professionals when working with the Long River Works project, and we were in the studio on Monday night, and very helpful. They all kind of threw me into the mix to be a reporter or the interviewer at that point, but so I just want to say that it was another successfully ran event on Monday night, and I should give a shout out to those two for helping out big time. So
Great.
I'm officially stating that. And I would hope that more groups again continue to use that space.
We are getting a lot of, I'm very excited that we're getting a lot of organizational memberships coming through the door. We've got Malden River Works, but now we have the new Malden Community Coalition, I believe the name, the
Just a nonprofit,
yeah, so many groups, and we're just seeing a lot of activity, and that was my reasoning for making it, like making the organization, because we thought they all want social media, they all want videos and media and content. We can't do all that, and if you get 10 people in from your organization and trained, anyone can do it for you, right? So I really like what Malden River Works is doing by getting a grant and engaging on youth. That's just a fantastic idea, and then they can pay them, right? So that feeds into that workforce development that we're talking about. But we're partnering with our community organizations to make this happen. Right, so same thing with Creative Malden, same situation, they're writing grants and then hiring us for media, right? So that's how we get our funding going as well, too. Yeah. Speaking of funding.
So, if there are no other questions or comments, I'll turn it over to you, continue on to the next,
Are we just talking about general related to the ED report?
Yeah,
Can I bring up something?
Sure.
So just one. I'm gonna pair a positive with a negative. I thought I'm gonna start with positive. I thought it was so cool to see you guys at the state of the city address.
Yeah.
Just it is related to the first goal of the strategic plan update.
yes,
I feel like that is, it says no update at this time, but like, I feel like that is an instant partnership with the city of Malden. And in a way that was fun and interactive, I just thought that was great and like a pleasant surprise.
okay.
So that was, I just really enjoyed that.
I just didn't wanna repeat myself and then.
No,
take it kind of part, sorry.
I get
But
it.
you're right, I should have put that in.
So the Humans of Malden,
Mhm.
art salon,
Mhm.
I thought was incredible. I think one of my quotes was in here, like it was one of the best things that I've been to in this city. It was inspiring. It was like right up my alley, and it was fantastic. What I realized though, like midway through, was like I felt like I needed to start filming some of this and posting it to my social media because people need to like see that.
Mhm.
We need to, I just feel like. I'm sorry if this comes off as like, I feel like FEMA doesn't do a great job of like marketing. And there may not be the money there for there's staff there, and what you were just talking about, made me think of
All
this.
of the above, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just like, I genuinely feel like to talk in like simple, basic. Social media terms, like there were so many things that were said and that could like go viral. And really inspire people, and it was just like, I feel like a bit, I would love for that to be happening a couple of years from now. And I see like clockwork 24, 48 hours later, there is a fantastic reel,
Yeah,
you know, going
absolutely.
around. I think that would just. Cause like everyone there saw it.
Right.
It was loving it, the feeling in the aroma was like indescribable, but we gotta get that message out.
Yeah,
to more people.
absolutely.
I just,
That's great feedback.
what's that?
So the medium mixer, that's where we can
I was
start.
gonna say, do you wanna volunteer for that?
I would be, but the thing is like, and I'm not being like false, like I suck, I'm not a media person.
That is not what I hear.
Well, but I'm a real estate agent, I'm not,
Right.
and I hire the people to do the good ones, who are not really, who are media people. Yeah, I just like, I'm happy to like throw something together, but there should be someone in some way.
I think for the media mixer, we have our marketing intern on the social media aspect of it.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, right, like.
Right, so one thing that we are trying to get better at and within the organization, and I've said it in a couple reports now, is that planning system, you know, like what are we using as a team-wide for a planner? How are we creating checklists for things? And I think things that we're still working on are getting missed on the checklist, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I've said this a billion times, we need to be capturing all of this.
Yeah.
On video, right? I mean, we are a cable cast, right? Like I said,
Oxymoron.
but especially when we get into the art gallery and the art salon and things that aren't funded through our cable funding. We try not to allocate too much time and resources on that, because we don't get paid to cultivate that art gallery
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
So we're expanding that, and now we just got an amazing grant to help support those art salons, so now we can actually kind of look at spending.
Yeah.
Organizational time and admin time on it.
Yeah.
So.
And not to get to like tune in, I also appreciate that for something like that, it might not be the same event if someone had like a camera in their face the entire time.
Right.
But I think that there is a way to do it tastefully, and that would be
Right.
something that we work towards.
Or maybe that's on, I was there for at least the beginning part and I could have snapped a photo, you know, like as a board member, just like anyway, like, yeah.
I think it's looking at the moment and then you look back and go, oh, shoot, this was actually something I could have.
Right, just captured myself, at least to like draw attention and then it's more grassroots and all of that, that's why.
I just never allow myself to live in the moment anymore, so that's
Unfortunately,
but that's my own issue, but yeah.
Unfortunately, I am. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think with that being said, I think that could be something that maybe we, as we continue to have, like, open up to the public, we do more mixes or whatever the case may be, like at board members. I feel like that could be one of our, many ways to volunteer, right? It's not like we take pictures or we take quick videos, but we put it up on our, our website, social media.
Yeah.
We can share it to, also, right, she's running the social media, marketing intern.
Well, actually, now it's a team effort now, so it's Osa, Felicia and Alita.
So,
And they have their area, so Leah does all the civic
Yeah.
engagement stuff. Felicia does more of the fundraising, community engagement stuff, and then also kind of covers the rest of it.
and so with that thinking, it was like, just like, be like, hey, by the way, here's, I took the other night when we were at the next, I took like a 2-minute video of me walking around talking, here you go, like, if you wanna use this for the.
Or you can do it, Brian, and he put it on his page and then tagged us and stuff like that, and then we can just reshare it. Being very clear that we are almost always using the hashtags explore, create, connect as individual hashtags. That's our tagline, so, yeah. But I'm happy to go to a deeper conversation about how we can do better on our social media. And promoting ourselves, yes.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just about likes or followers, it's just like we are sharing with the community what's going on.
Which is why I was talking about putting my ED reports on the website, and highlighting those, or we make that as a newsletter. However that works.
Yeah, and also like my comment stems from that being such a great event.
Right,
And
so we're looking forward to the podcast bits too, that you and Felicia are working on from that event, that's amazing.
That was
Yeah.
so much fun, I think it's gonna come out legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there are no other topics to discuss in the ED report, we can move right into finance. There's a finance report. I don't know.
We got money in the bank.
So I like to.
It's a worry, we don't have enough money in the bank, but we have money in the bank, we did get our earmark funds from Senator Lewis, so that's a. Huge relief, and that does officially mean that we only paid $8K for our entire water, so. Putting a pin in my hat for that one, that was pretty exciting. We have received all of our cable funding from the end of year quarter for the cable companies, which would be the end of December. As I mentioned to John earlier, the next round will come in late May. And I have been keeping a running total now on that Excel spreadsheet I shared with you, and so now I can start literally seeing where we're at. And understanding that, quarter by quarter, it's gonna change a little, right? So it's really that number at the end of the year where we can be at, so. We'll see what the next round comes in as, hopefully it'll be better than the last round, so. With that said, especially at the meeting mixer that we'll talk about in the agenda. I think it's really important to try to push donations, memberships. Community members can sponsor our programs if they want to put money towards our internship program. Or just general operations. They can support the art gallery, they can support Neighborhood View. All of that money just allows us a little breathing room and allows us to focus on these programs we want to offer our community. But if we're not asking for it, people don't know to provide it, right? The other thing I want to push that is really gaining success is our sustainer program. So you can just sign up to give them $10 a month on a regular basis, and your annual donation, is $120. That adds up. At the end of our last meeting, I did give board members a little one pager, talking about what our needs are, and we do really need to focus on some sort of fundraising effort, and that's on each board member individually, to say, hey, have you checked out Luma? If you're really interested in media production, you should get a membership, or if you really love what they're doing or trying to do, give them $5 a month, yeah. That's all I'm asking. Get that word.
Can I just say something real quick there?
Yeah, Katie.
I think as you start offering more programs, it's gonna be easier to ask the community for support, because I know, like, in talking to different people, some of the responses, well, what are they doing? And it's hard to ask people to donate when they don't know what's going on. So I think after the summer program with the kids and stuff, that makes it a lot easier to ask people for donations and to help when they can actually see what's going on and what programs are running and that kind of thing.
Right, yeah, and so that's why I'm bringing it up now, because we have this big media mixer event next week, and people are going to see what UMa's doing, right? We're making this connection, and so if you like this, throw $10 in the pot, right? Throw $20, sign up for a membership, if you're really interested in podcasting, sign up for a membership. As far as what UMA is doing, I think that flows into being more present in the situation and understanding we need to promote this more, we need to put these reports out more. We need to be out more in the city. And that's gonna grow when we get there.
Hey Katie, I feel you too, like I hear you, I hear Tina does, I know as like a parent who wants to see more kid programming, like when Tina's talking about this, like I know in the back of my head, as soon as that, kid registration comes out, I could say to parents, like, even if you're not able to do this, like, maybe you've already booked camps or it's just not the right time, like, could you consider, making a donation, because clearly they're starting to happen, and if we can continue to get it to happen. But it's easier to do when you have that, like, physical, like, maybe it's not a physical document, but you can see that document or a way to sign up and it's happening. At least, yeah, I think that's
Exactly.
get at with the programming for youth.
And I feel pretty encouraged, right? I mean, after, like, just thinking about even next week. Again, see the pictures from your report of, the human, keep calling humans all of this, I don't like.
That is the.
No, it's, I keep thinking, I almost keep calling it that, but humans of New York, like.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what it was based on, yeah.
But I think as this continued, right, that we are stepping in the right direction, with these events, with this being shown, right, and so, yeah, I feel encouraged that we'll be getting, we are making sure it's getting there. Okay, right, we got things that we can point to, I suppose, oh, well, figure it out.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's just like, as Edie said, once you say, oh yeah, this is the program that's happening this summer, it's okay, this is an actual here and now, this is what's going on, as opposed to, yeah, we'd like to do this.
Right.
So her program is, now that it's happening, it's just easier to say, oh, your donation can help a kid go to camp, do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it'll be, this will make our jobs much easier, so keep going on. And we are gonna continue to do meeting mixes, right? Like, this isn't just like a one and done.
That's the hope, that they're gonna be themed, right?
Yeah.
So we were actually potentially considering doing on LGBTQ in the media in June. We were considering doing a youth media in the fall. But, so you have a thought of how that works, like, so this one was really a thank you to Senator Lewis and his assistants. But we thought, let's figure out a way to spin this, and so it's really about science and media and using different tools, and connecting those community members. We've got some fascinating exhibitors coming, so we'll talk about when we get there, so.
Yeah, and the schools have it too, like I know the high school has a program and they do something too around it. So maybe involving the high school kids in
We
what they're
invited them
doing.
to hear the response, I'm hoping they come. So. Yeah.
Alright, we can go into that, right, but that is on the, alright. We'll move on to, subcommittee updates. Well, I can tell you from the executive committee, I have not called anything yet. Regarding any contract discussion, so I will hopefully have something typed up and ready to go, or actually there should be something ready to go because, I'm a time crunch myself. Not only are you on a time crunch, I'm also on a time crunch because our next meeting, I won't be here for in person. It will be the same week I have my daughter, so.
Yeah.
So I will not be here for that.
Baby, will you arriving?
Yeah, maybe we'll be
It's
there.
May, it's.
No,
Okay.
yeah, April 21st. So, yeah, I was supposed to be saying the mile, which
Great.
I'll have a discussion with my daughter when she turns 20. About how I was hoping to, double dip on her birthday, but that's okay. So, yeah, so I will have, so the executive committee, will have an update, probably a written update, by the time we get to our April meeting.
Okay. We're not gonna call any special meeting or anything?
They will be.
Okay.
It should be, but I'm just saying formally for agenda purposes.
Right.
So to be clear. My current contract is out April 25th. Current contract's up like April.
Yeah, it is a one month, yeah, you think it's gonna go over a month? It's not gonna. We won't go over a month. I promise we won't go over a month for negotiation purposes. Unless maybe we'll.
I mean, I just really would like to have something signed before April 25th.
Right?
Yeah.
See, maybe.
That
Really?
gives us, we have exactly what.
Alright. You were talking about committees, so I did make it like,
Okay.
I cut out the page from the board, but I don't know where we are in the agenda.
Yeah, we're subcommittee update.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So subcommittee update, so Lori, myself, Tina. Lizette didn't make it, but we had a nominating committee kind of meeting, I guess, Monday night while the auditor works was happening, and we were just talking about the media mixer on the 27th, and you know, 25th, sorry, I'm maybe next week. Just talking about whoever's attending, I'll try to attend, is making sure if people are there and incorporating them into the subcommittees. And I wrote down, obviously, the nominating committee, like getting people on subcommittees or on the board, then these are all for the bylaws, like I just copied a case, so the nominating committee, the membership committee, getting more members, like I think talking about. You know, if we get more people involved, then they can say, this is what I'd like to see, or X, Y, or Z, and you know. Getting more memberships on for UMA, and then the last one being the programming committee, right, I'm just repeating everything that was in the bylaws, but. Just, you know, really bringing those attention at the media mixer on next week, so. And hopefully maybe encouraging people to come out and join subcommittees. But I don't know who's on them and I don't know when they're starting or anything like that. I'm just in charge of nominating and I've been holding meetings, so.
we'll figure it out. I mean, I think as board members that we should all be there, but on top of that, I think that we should also be talking, right? What we're doing, right? At least engaging with people as opposed to just sitting back, being like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, hey, you think about what's going on? Like, don't you like what it looks like in here or something, right? So I think that we should all be playing.
Are we wearing our UMA t-shirts or?
Unfortunately, I'll be in a suit and tie.
Okay.
So, I'll be coming from I'm wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
We had UMA shirts.
Oh, you don't?
I have to see if we have it anymore, our inventory is low. But
Are they
I'm happy to give you
a meeting tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see,
You should be.
ask me tomorrow.
Alright,
Where we want, I'm actually gonna be wearing just business
okay,
attire. So,
fair enough,
with Senator Lewis being over.
okay, okay, fair
And I wasn't wearing a suit and tie because
You're introducing him.
that's right. I also have to have a nomination hearing down the street. Actually, this building, down the street, this building.
Alright, well, we'll get there, we're,
Yeah,
sounds like we're ready to talk about that.
I know.
enough. Sorry, that was subcommittee.
No.
So those were listed in the bylaws, I mean, I didn't put the other committees like executive, because obviously that doesn't pertain. To the community as a whole, unless you're on the board doing a good job on it.
And that's why I sent out the bylaws. Yeah, so.
So when we get there, I have a piece of paper laid around to talk about some committees.
Okay,
Any other subcommittee updates at this time?
Anybody's met?
Oh, right. Alright, so we can skip down to old business. And we'll roll right back into subcommittee assignments.
So I wasn't quite sure who was all gonna be here tonight, so there's an extra copy over here. Yeah. So what I did is took the liberty of putting together a little table of what was currently outlined in Lori's email she sent out earlier with the agenda. I just took exactly what you sent out, Lori, and put it in this table. And there's actually two different documents here. One is with old board members listed. So you'll see Karen as part of the executive committee.
I don't have that one.
Yeah, so there's two sheets.
Okay,
Okay, one had Karen listed, so the one I wanna point your attention to is the one that where Lizette is listed under the executive committee. That is the current structure as far as we know of committees. So I wasn't even sure, Eden, did you know you were on the finance committee?
I didn't, because nobody, Ryan has never emailed me, I didn't know, I mean, maybe I was supposed to show up, but.
So, and I do wanna point out under development and event committee that Ari is on there, so. Yeah. The highlighted ones are ones that we haven't really established, like they're not part of our bylaws subcommittees.
But which contract committee, really the executive in a lot of ways?
No, the contract committee was for the city of Malden contract.
Okay, gotcha.
So that is an ad hoc,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I would almost say the ones in,
And then community outreach, is that?
yeah, so
is
we
that-
don't, again, so the highlighted ones are ones we don't actually have listed in our bylaws.
Right,
The
but that
ones,
could be part of like membership, right?
exactly. I'm just going off of what Lori has sent
Right,
earlier
I
in the
understand.
email. So I wanted to bring it up
I mean, Jonathan's
because,
on both. I mean, it'd be, I don't know how many committees should a board member be on? Two, yeah, I don't want to be. on.
well, the one that's missing there is the neighborhood view subcommittee,
Okay,
right?
so I could take out marketing since that doesn't.
and actually, we have to add Katie, now that Katie is going.
Yeah.
So instead of marketing, that should be neighborhood view,
Neighborhood,
and Jonathan is the chair of that one. Okay. So, I don't know if you wanna do it tonight, but every single one of these subcommittees that are listed out in our bylaws need to have a board member as chair. Right?
Yeah.
Now, UMA staff can co-chair a subcommittee if need be, like. Felicia co-chairs the development event committee, right? That makes sense, she's the fund development specialist. But every single subcommittee has to have a board member chairing it. Brian chairs the finance. Eden, you chair the nominating.
Chair too.
you too.
You're not listed on that committee.
No, I said chair two committees.
You chair which ones? The executive committee.
Executive and personnel.
Okay, so who else is on the personnel?
So Ari's out, so either, I guess we can do it now, either flip a coin, either put Adam or Katie. I feel like it should be the. How should we do this?
Is personnel only board members like exec? Alright, then, yeah, we can put on there.
I like personnel.
You wanna flip a coin?
I'll do personnel.
You wanna do personnel?
Yeah.
So Adam, you're on personnel.
But you're still chair,
I still chair
Yeah.
that,
Right.
I still chair that.
and you need one more, at least minimum one more board member, right?
No, Jonathan's on it too.
Jonathan, see, where are you getting this list that I'm not?
Hey, you're looking at the old one,
You're looking at the old one.
What?
yeah, this is the old one, and this is the
Oh,
new one,
oh.
so, I mean, you can do what you want.
Yeah, I'll look at it, so alright, so that on personnel, so that it will be Katie then. Right?
Katie, wanna be on personnel?
Katie, would you like to be on, Katie, listen, yeah. Katie's-
Whatever you need,
Huh?
whatever you need.
Yeah, see?
It's like
Yeah.
human resources,
Alright,
okay,
so nominating to be, so the first four committees are all good already, so programming is more about. Oh, do you have the bylaws sub,
I had it on my.
verbiage on that, do you have it on your sheet there?
I don't have it, oh,
I
which
can't-
one?
Is it,
Programming, shall engage members to learn about and understand programming needs, as well as be responsible for ensuring that a wide variety of programming which addresses the interests and needs of Malden residents, institutions, and organizations is available.
Yeah, so that was so there's a difference between programming committee and membership committee, right? Programming committee is out in the community as a whole. Exactly to Katie's point, going, okay, what do you wanna see UMA doing? And bringing that back to the organization so that we can all work on making that happen, right? Or what are we hearing more and more about, like, we know youth programming has always been number one on the list. But then also helping the UMA team define those programs and get them up and running, right? Like, it's not just on team members to make that happen. So. We're gonna need a chair for that committee.
So who would like to chair that? I'll leave that open to the member, I mean, obviously, the people who are sitting here obviously get, preference over the people who are not. So. Who would be willing to step up to that? I'm not making eye contact with you, can touch you, because I'm not saying, oh, I don't know, people be spot, so I'm looking away.
Would not be my first choice. I would miss, there are others that.
You couldn't put a notation right now if somebody wants to think about it. But just identify that we need to have a chair for that. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm excited, that's a new one we're implementing, I think it's really an amazing opportunity.
Right, Lizette might be interested, she's not here, not the volunteer, but she's in there, right?
Well, and she's on the membership committee, so it makes sense to me to have her share that. So I'm not sure if she wants, and it might actually pair really nicely with program committee, I don't know.
Like, she's also not chair of anything, not to like.
No, we can make her chair.
Sure.
It makes sense for me to have her do membership, because she's there, 2-3 days a week.
Right, I'm not saying she doesn't volunteer.
And I'm not saying you can't share more than one.
Yeah, you can share a few. So, all right, so we're gonna put the set as the chair of the programming.
No, membership committee for sure.
Okay.
Oh, okay, chair, you're putting her as chair there.
So I think we'll leave it to. Question mark unless somebody wants to volunteer to chair the programming right now.
I don't.
I don't think you're not in that.
I mean, would
Alright.
anything come up like?
You wanna do it?
How you feel? You don't, listen, don't just say yes, cause they're like putting you on the spot.
Lori's not sharing anything, so I think we gotta give her a chair spot, right?
And then we should fill this.
And I think Katie should join.
I was just gonna say, does Katie wanna join that committee as well?
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right, if Katie doesn't respond in the next 2 seconds, she's on it.
Listen, don't be volunteering me for stuff just because I am not there. I said, don't be volunteering me for stuff just because I'm not there. No, I can't. Some stuff I fade in and out. Oh, did I lose you guys?
Katie, can I do programming with you, okay?
She said, I think she said we keep coming in and out.
Yeah,
Are we cutting in and out, Katie, you said?
Yeah, you guys are going in and out, so I'm catching like every third word.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Shoot.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay.
We're talking about subcommittees, and I had pointed out that I thought it'd be great if you were able to program the committee, because what that is making sure that.
Okay. I think the problem is when everybody's talking, when you're talking,
Oh,
it's picking up
You
everything.
can't hear when everyone else is talking. So, we keep cutting, I guess. So the question before you was if you'd be interested in partaking with the programming subcommittee, because your feedback from the community would be really valuable in that.
Sure.
Point of it is,
so it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
She said yes.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks.
So she's saying that we keep cutting out every time people are.
Right. Yeah. When other people, so I could hear Tina clearly when nobody else was talking, but then as soon as you guys started talking in the background, it starts picking it up. And then you can't hear anything.
Okay, so Katie's good to be on the programming committee.
So we need one more person.
No, so here's the point of why we're having this conversation now. Because if, as I said. I think it's absolutely vital to get community members on these subcommittees, not just filling with board members, right? Because one, we're stressing our board members out like crazy. Two, the more voices we have, the better we're gonna be. And I've been pushing this for 2 years as an agenda, like as my personal agenda item, because I think it's so important. So this is. If we can define at least chairs and maybe perhaps one other board member on some committees. And then this is what we push at the meeting mixer. This is what we push when we're out in the communities. And my vision, when we talked about these, is like the programming committee, the membership committee, and the development committee. Could actually be quite large. You could have up to 20 people on that. So that they're out in the community, getting the information or, helping out, and it's one meeting a month. Or one meeting a quarter,
Or
or
the conference.
yeah. But the important part is that it has to be a UMA board member chairing, so.
Alright, with that said, then, does it look like for this new updated list, this looks like we do have a board member chairing?
Jonathan's alone on neighborhood view, but that's about.
But I think that's,
That's fine.
yeah.
So you have, yeah, they have their, yeah, they've got a nice, well-rounded advisory, group, so. Yep,
Alright, with that being said, and who will type this up?
since I already got it started, do you want me to?
Can you type it in,
Yeah.
that's all of us?
Yep.
Please. Alright. This looks good, I like it. Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
Thank you, Adam, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you, Warren, for becoming chair, and Katie.
Yes.
Eden, thank you to everybody.
So, Eden, what I will do is get this typed up and send it to you, and then. I think we have a one pager describing especially the committees that we're really looking for.
Right,
Community members for at the media mixer,
okay,
and also figuring out a way to capture that information as well, if we find somebody that's interested. Okay.
Yeah.
I also wanna mention for the media mixer that we're. How many board members now? 8?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we still have 2 seats to fill. And we know that what we're looking for in the needs area is either large fundraising experience, right? Or somebody that knows deep pockets. And or HR assistants and our legal assistants. So if we run into somebody at the mixer, or we run into somebody out in the community. Hey, have you heard about what UMA's doing lately? Yeah,
Handcuff.
exactly,
Right.
right, okay. Subcommittees assignments are done, check.
Alright, we'll move on to the strategic plan. There are any updates?
Hey, you guys got your governance documents done today for most of them, right? So check mark on that goal. I did a brief update, this month flew by on a lot of things, so again, like we had talked about when I presented the strategic plan, that all of these were gonna be worked. Coexistently, or whatever the word I'm looking for is, so we've got a lot of moving parts going on right now. We've got the media mixer, which is gonna, is a huge game changer for us, and yes, we're hoping to do more of these, we're working on the youth workshops. All kinds of different things, coordinating with Parks and Rec Department on that kind of thing. The Malden events community calendar is going off like gangbusters. Also was at the Kiwanis Club meeting on Tuesday. And UMA was awarded a certificate of amaze balls kind of thing. We received recognition from the Kiwanis Club for the work that we're doing in our community, which I thought was very sweet, we weren't expecting it. And are very thankful for the appreciation. But groups like the Kiwanis Club, Parks and Rec are getting involved. Brian mentioned in his email out to the board that, he's hearing all around the community. How jazzed people are for this community calendar, and we actually just got an email from the INN saying they're doing a webinar and how this is really pulling their community together. So we're gonna look at
What
doing
is the
that.
INN?
INN is the organization that we just got membership to.
Okay,
For the Neighborhood View Citizen Journalism.
okay.
And they're doing a webinar on how to use our citizen journalism program to promote and engage into the community calendar and connect and be that hub that we keep talking about, right? So we are coming together as a group after the mixer, as a work team group to look at the plan moving forward. We had a kind of whole timeline of a plan of how we're gonna roll this out. And what I really love is that this work group in particular is really about the lead impact of our organization. And so what we are looking at is what's been successful so far. And what we were surprised to learn, and so we're gonna pivot a little bit and start. Keep building on that momentum, so, yeah.
Nice.
So at this point, that's all I have on the strategy.
Questions? Open up to the floor for a few minutes. Okay. If there are no questions or comments, we'll move right on to the meeting next Saturday.
Oh, hey, we're having a media mixer next Tuesday night.
At what time's it again?
Doors open at 5:15, the event goes till 7:30. All board members are asked to be present and available for the event. Senator Lewis is confirmed that he will be there and is going to be making some comments on supporting community media. So Emmanuel, I plan to have you introduce him. Thank him for his support for the last 2 years, because I want to remind you that he paid for the repair of our roof, and then paid for a good portion of these earmarked or the renovation funds, right? So he obviously sees the value of that organization and wants to, and is committed to supporting us. He's also the author to the bills. So I think it's really important to shake his hand and say thank you for the work he's doing. After he's done speaking, I will step up and talk about a few things, including we're gonna get a little preview of the youth workshop to talk about that. And how we hope to do more of these media mixers in the future. And then. What was I saying? There is going to be a board table, specifically for subcommittee engagement, but I'm hoping everyone feels fairly well versed in the way UMA operates and what we're doing, that if somebody had questions, we could point them to you to say that. Kind of thing. Adam, I do think it'd be really helpful if you're planning to be there to help us generate that social media content, get some video, photos, that kind of thing, and it's your forte, even though you're just a real estate guy.
For what it's worth, I did do it for the other events as well, just like I'm not able to do what a professional would do.
Right.
Because also like I'm there as a,
Yeah.
participant and observer, and I'm
Right.
trying to shake the senator's hand.
Yeah.
Whereas
Absolutely.
if it was someone's role to do it.
Right.
But of course, goes without question, I'm gonna
Right.
take pictures and video of my own, they're just not gonna be of the caliber
Right.
that someone else could.
So I think it is gonna be important to kind of designate who's gonna be at the board table during the events. And I'll leave that to the board to decide. We also need a board volunteer to kind of hang out in the food zone, because they're not letting people serve themselves. Yeah, but we're not letting.
We'll spread that at the end.
Hey. We're not letting people serve themselves, we're gonna have somebody designated
I didn't know.
You didn't know that?
to help serve.
What happened?
Somebody ruined.
Hey.
I'm not gonna say what they did, it's just,
So it's fine, right?
it's at the end of the meeting, somebody
Okay, no, I don't wanna know, but.
contaminated food. And I was like, I'm not.
Not in a terribly gross way, but it's just better if we serve the food than.
Okay, so there was food at the arts one, and that was fine, right? No? Okay.
I'm sure.
Did you watch food the whole time?
I made it.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean like sneeze guards or something?
No.
I don't
It
know.
wasn't anything like that, but
Okay, alright, well,
People put their hands on the page.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But I don't remember there being.
Anyways, so we need a volunteer to kind of rotate out of the kitchen to help serve food. It's gonna be just small things, you know, for a very short period of time. Anyways,
Just volunteer
I
yourself.
know.
well, I'm gonna put a hairnet on you.
Well, I'm saying, no. Well, I'm gonna have a shaved head anyway, so there you go.
All right, and then, so. Open doors at 5:15, at around 6, Senator Lewis is gonna speak, and then from 6:30 to 7:30 is really kind of the cool thing. Is we're inviting all these, is that we're calling them exhibitors, to come up to the microphone and talk about their project for a maximum of 3 minutes. So we have over a dozen people already signed up to exhibit their projects. And we have everyone from a gentleman who runs a nonprofit that teaches voices to make documentaries, is what I'm saying. We have a young woman that made her own documentary about being a single mom. But we also have a gentleman that's using what did they, I'm forgetting the word, holographic AI software to create media, right? We have the gentleman that did the mental mapping art gallery at UMA a couple months ago. He's coming in, he's got a new project that he's doing. So they are gonna be set up, we got 6-foot tables and each exhibitor gets a seat at half a table. We're gonna have neighborhood view as one seat, that kind of thing. And so we did this really eclectic group of media makers. We've got we've got filmmakers, we've got science people, we've got podcasters, we've got Couch Quest from the gaming district that's gonna be there. And so we're really excited about this event and what it could generate and do, so. Yeah. I did do a last this effort, personal invite to all of our council members and to the mayor. Asking them, I know it's a city council night, but if you can just swing by, that would be great, just let me know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's gonna be a really active night, and what I think I'm most excited about this is that it's bringing new people in our village, right? So they're like, wait, what are you doing? That's really cool. And we've done, and I asked for a specific focus to reach out to the youth in our community, so. Not just the Malden High School, but the local charter schools and stuff like that, the YWCA, everything else, so. We maxed out our signups because we have to worry about bodies in the building at 75 and we're already at 60. So there's excitement, yeah. So any questions about the media event or? Okay.
looking forward to it.
I am too.
That's
Be there for about 5 minutes. All right, with that being said, any other questions or comments about the meeting next Tuesday?
If you see it on social media, please share it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did, I think I did.
Yeah, you shared mine when I did the other day.
All right, with that being said, we're gonna move on to new business. Well, person that is not here, I mean, unless you can talk to it, but person not here. So we're gonna table this, that'll be up for the next, well. Either April or, well, it should be for April. With the vice president about this, so. That'll be tabled for April on an old business, we will do a planner, all right, just because it was on the top, it was on the agenda for this month. Volunteer fair,
Yeah, April 19th, again, got terrible about their, yes, Malden. Community Coalition
Yeah.
is holding a volunteer fair, I believe at the Salem School. It's a Saturday. I think it's an incredible opportunity once again. To engage community members in subcommittees. UMA is finally having a table, we're looking for board members to promote. Subcommittee signups, so. I think it's in the early afternoon, through the space. I took a photo of the flyer.
also.
Yeah.
How convenient.
I know.
2 to 6 p.m.
I had a kid over the weekend. It's 2 to 6,
2 to 6 p.m.
and that's on Saturday, right?
It
Yep.
is.
Pretty good.
Sure, motion would be in the hospital, I'm thinking.
Sorry, which date? April
19.
19th, 2 to 6.
So if the board wants to figure out who wants to do what, and if they want to do it in shifts, that's fine, we just need a commitment to from. The board members to be there to talk about subcommittees. And engage with the community. On the volunteer aspects. So you can even talk about regular board membership too, so.
I mean, does it make sense to put a poll out there? Like, I know you're a realtor, so Saturdays might be busy for you.
It might be tricky, but it's actually like really well timed. If it was like 10 to 2, I'd be like, that's impossible. But 2 to 6.
And I feel like if we broke it up so it's smaller shifts, so
Yeah.
I don't feel like anyone should have to do the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even wanna do the whole thing.
Right?
I said, I don't even wanna do the whole thing, okay, we're shifting an hour, are you kidding? Right?
Be able to do with some beach.
Well, I'll let you work that out amongst yourselves,
Like,
but.
I'll definitely be there,
Right.
but you know, probably more like a 3 to 4 or 3 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
We can figure it out.
Yeah.
And when's
Do
the
you
next
want
one?
me to send an email to the board to, and then you can work off of that, or?
Yeah,
Is it something? Oh, so I don't know why I'm thinking that,
I don't know, you're just trying to avoid it.
No, it's not, for some reason, I was thinking that it's,
You just say,
I know, that's what it's called tonight.
So Good Friday is 18th, 17th.
That's right, 17.
Is that Easter weekend then?
yeah.
It's,
I'll work that Friday.
Yeah, I used to call it Great Friday.
Great Friday?
Great, like as in I get the day off, because the markets are closed.
So I will be here then. More like 10.
Alright, so my question to the board is, would you like me to send an email out as a reminder about it, so that, and then you all can figure out, let me know?
That'd be super.
Can't hurt, yeah.
Okay.
Please. Especially for those when I have them too.
Right.
Yeah, let me tell you something, at this point, it's either it is or it isn't, cause I won't be here that following Thursday.
I think
so.
it's that weekend.
Not to be like abrasive, but.
So I think what I'll do is I'll just send out one email, because I wanna do a reminder about the conference, and you have to let me know for the deadline date. I'll do the reminder about the volunteer fair, I'll add the documents of the subcommittees in there, what else? What else? That, right?
And to note, it is the weekend of, Melissa has been the public school for this spring, so. For the community, the 19th,
And she's part of this organization,
Right, I know.
so
I know.
I'm sure she's gonna be there.
right?
Alright, with that being said, if there are no further, apparently I must have. But we don't have folks going to an executive session tonight anyway, so that if I'm not on the agenda, so.
What? No, it is on our agenda. I just didn't, I didn't put it on this printer. Cause this was really for my own use, it wasn't really.
Oh.
So on the official agenda, it is on.
Alright, we have enough, we even have one,
Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
listen, John.
John,
Ryan. Alright, so there's only 3 of us, okay, so, alright, so I guess we do have, and it's on the official.
I would say that if it deems, if the board wants to, it can wait. We would have to.
Yeah.
I'll, you know what, maybe that's something that we should just. Do we wanna go into an executive session, but we need the full board, or is everybody comfortable with members who are present here to go into it?
I'm comfortable.
I mean, my personal is that we're missing 3 people that we might meet the minimum, but it's. I feel like the pros of having everyone here outweigh.
There's no vote in executive session.
You know, for us to take any votes, no, but it is to get, I mean, I could go either way, right? I mean, I could see having, And I can see what Adam's point too is that we don't have, we don't have everybody here that's to hear this, so I don't know.
You're not gonna be in the next one.
No, I will be. That's the Thursday before. For some reason I was thinking that.
Okay.
We're gonna hold them to that.
Yeah.
So I'm okay holding off on exec session until next board meeting then. If we can get,
I mean,
our
I think
board
everybody
members
has to
here.
have- everybody has to be here. Or
I
What I
would
can-
hold another.
what I can do is do a special meeting, it would have to be online. And we will right to an executive session with them.
that's
So I can do that too.
Yeah, you might just do it as like if we're missing 1 or 2 people, but like three out of 8 is a pretty
And especially
good chunk.
Yeah.
I would prefer that. I just don't wanna wait until it's so close, like I don't want to wait up until the deadline. Just for everyone.
no, this is,
Nope.
okay.
Okay.
Nope. All right, with that being said, we will call an executive session. Katie, look out for an email. From myself, I will officially put this on the record that to the call of the chair, I will call an executive meeting, executive session, excuse me. I will call the meeting, then we are going into executive session. I just have to determine when that's gonna be. I'm trying to think, if we're gonna do it online.
We'll do it before next Tuesday.
No, I'm gonna have to be honest, so,
And
I mean, we can do it exactly a week from today,
that could work.
and at least give everybody an ample.
I'm on vacation. I'm not available.
When you come back again, I know you said.
So I'm out 27th and 28th. And then I'm on vacation from the 7th through that week.
So we just have this exactly from today, then you should go back, I don't know, do something.
Yeah, so the following week I would do that Thursday.
So, all right, so why don't we do this,
2 weeks, right?
yeah, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll call a special meeting. So
So
that,
November 3rd.
yeah, April 3rd, that will be at the same time, so we'll start at 7. But we'll be virtual though, so that we don't need to come into City Hall or.
That's good.
You want me to set a Zoom?
And you reserve the right to change it in case like Lizette and then can't.
It's 2 week notice.
Okay.
That's 2 week notice, I don't know.
Okay.
What's that one?
Yeah, I just didn't know.
And it's virtual.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
virtual,
Okay.
not that, this is not to be abrasive, but I mean,
No,
we're
I-
giving somebody a 2 week notice,
I
I mean, that should be more than enough time.
saw here somebody's kid's birthday.
Right, well, you know, you can do that birthday party.
Okay, I got my calendar.
I will get all that with
Yeah,
Kyle.
okay, and then, yeah, can you just send it with that? I wanna make sure that everybody sees that.
Will do. Well, I think, Lori, what I will do is tomorrow I'll set up the Zoom and send it to you, and then you can send out to the DOD the date, time, and the information. Okay?
We have a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so actually, no, that's it, I mean, unless it's, we have come to the end of the agenda, and I will entertain any motions right now. We entertain.
I motion to adjourn.
Seconded, alright.
Second.
No, second, oh, okay. Too late, alright, we have officially adjourned at 8:46. Thank you all, thank you, Katie, have a good time in
Thank you,
Florida.
Katie. Thank you, Katie.